and then you're watching essentially inside the 3-point line, just a little bit more like a diagonal cut right here. The area you're watching the most is right here for post play. You shouldn't ever be calling 3-pointers unless they're like right down there at the corner, because the 3-pointer is going to be called by the center and the
trail.
Center and the trail. So when you're standing, when you're reffing for lead, this is no man's land right here. You're not going to be calling, you're not going to be standing anywhere behind the hoop because you can't see anything when you're like looking up there, when you're looking right here. You're going to be like 3 steps behind in this area. If you're taller, you might want to go back more because you'll have like a better vision of your area that you're watching. Like I said, you're primarily watching the box area for all the fouls that happen there. It's really important in this position to be watching the players and not the ball, because you have an especially good view of whether or not the ball goes in the hoop in lead position, but what you might miss is that hit that happens when someone puts the ball up under the hoop. So you need to be watching the players.
All right. So yeah, what I like to do. So I'm taller. And this is about as far back as I get. But take an open angle at this view. Okay. You're primarily going to have a matchup down here on this block. Okay. Work to see space between players. If you're looking through the back of the player, you don't have a good angle on them. You can't see the action that's going on between those two. Does that make sense? Okay, let's talk about rotations. So when the ball comes down, okay, if you start at trail down here, I want you to take a wide angle, okay, follow this sideline, okay, when you're running down, and then come and set up here. Players are already going to be upset at you. Don't get in their way by running down the middle of the court, okay? Get out of their way, let them, especially if there's a fast break, let them play, okay? So take this wide angle and try to mirror the ball, okay? So this is as far over as you should get without rotating over. But as the ball kind of gets kicked around, you want to try to mirror it, try to find that best angle for whatever matchup you have. Our guidelines for rotating, okay? Center should be able to handle everything unless he has 2 competitive matchups, he or she. They have 2 competitive matchups. So if the center has a ball handler, which should be their primary focus, okay, and then they have a competitive matchup down here, you're going to want to rotate over to this side so that way you can help them out. Now when you rotate, it's either a brisk walk or it's a run. It depends on what your situation is. If you start to rotate over and then the ball goes down to that low post matchup, you might want to speed it up a little bit and run over there, okay? If you start your rotation and there's a steal, we're going the other way, or a shot goes up, go back, okay? Your rotation isn't finished until you made it to the other side and your partners recognize it, okay? So if we have a steal going the other way, go back, fill in that trail at where you were. Lane responsibilities when we're talking about free throws. Anyone remember what they are?
There's 2. This one.
So I'm giving the ball, okay? I back out this table side. I'm going to take this player on this block here and these 3 players. Okay, it's going to be your responsibility. Watch for if anyone goes early, it's a lane violation, or if we have any rebounding extracurriculars, we have any pushes in the back, any holds. Grab those early in the game, okay? Zach's rule guideline for intramural games is most of them, you're going to want 5 fouls in your first 5 minutes, okay? Work hard at lead because it's very easy when you first start out to watch the ball, okay? Don't watch the ball, watch your matchup because people like to get more physical when they have post play, okay? So it's easy to get more off-ball fouls. And if you clean that up early, it makes it easier for you. Nothing's going to escalate from that. For marking 3-pointers, this is not your responsibility, okay? The only time I would ever want to lead marking a 3-pointer is if we're coming down on a fast break and trail's stuck way back there, okay, they got beat, and it comes down to this corner and they can't see that, okay? That's the only time that's going to be your responsibility. You should never really be looking outside the 3-point arc. Anybody have any questions?
For the free throws, these are your people. The other people are center, and then outside the 3 is going to be the trail, just for reference.
Okay.
When you make, like say you make a foul call, when you run to record it, and the game is continuing, where would you come back to? Like when you're after recording it, it's moving on. What does that make your position when you go back?
Okay, let's say you call a foul over here, okay, and the ball's staying here, you're putting it on baseline. Okay, you run over to report. Where are you going to fill in at?
Stay over there.
Yeah, so you stay over there. You always stay. When you call a foul, the easiest way I think of it, you're going to the table, and if you're not on the side that you're being inbounded, then you're staying at center. Okay, if you're on the side that's being inbounded at, then you're going to be trail. Your eyes should never go above this backboard. It's really tempting when you first start officiating to watch the ball. When you watch basketball on TV, when you watch in a live game, the action's where the ball is, so that's what you naturally follow. But if you notice, when you look up here, you don't have a good view of what's going on that side, okay? Anything that happens above the rim is going to be your trail and center's responsibility. You should be focused here on rebounding action, okay? So when the shot goes up, take a wide angle. I like to take a step back so that way I can see more, because it's possible you're gonna have more than one rebounding matchup, okay? And catch any pushes in the back, any holds.
You wanna like run through it, make a trail center?
Okay, cool. You two, come here, and you're gonna be a matchup. I'm there, and the ball. Okay. What?
A bunch of stitches in my leg.
Oh no. Okay. What's your name, boss? Nat.
Chance.
Okay, Chance. You responded first, so I guess I was talking to you. Can you be my lead? Or Maddie, I guess you'll be my lead. Okay. Can you come over there? Yeah, thanks, boss. All right. So we have ball here. We have strong side. We have a matchup down here. Okay. Now we have that matchup switch over to the other side. Okay. And then the ball kicks over. We're gonna want to rotate over as lead. Okay. So that way we can help out the center with that weak side matchup, and then our trail will fill in at C. That's what I got. Any questions? That's probably the most common situation you're gonna have for rotating. Okay, so if you recognize it, great. That one takes a while though.
I guess so. All right, so this is center. Welcome. Does anyone know where center usually starts off?
Weak side.
Okay, like where on the free throw line, you said? Yeah, so you're just over there, pretty much like back here, hanging out. You can move up and down as the play goes. You're mainly watching for off-ball fouls up at top, reaches, pushes, holds. You're in charge for a third of the three-pointers that are called, so that's anything really in your area. But if you do call the three, if you put your hand up, watch the shooter, don't watch the ball. Trail covers most of them, but there are some that aren't in their area, so you are in charge of that.
Does everybody understand that concept of like who watches ball on marking threes? Like, does everybody? So if you mark three, watch the shooter up, shooter down. Don't watch the ball go in, because we need somebody to make sure that he or she doesn't get undercut, fouled during the shot. And then whoever's opposite, so trail or center, it's not going to be lead. He doesn't mark threes. The other person watches the ball go in. All right. Yeah. So that's just like what we mean by, when you mark it, you watch the shooter, and then the other person watches it go in.
Yeah, they're also on foul shots. You are counting the shooter with the 10 seconds, so you keep that down low. I don't think I've ever seen someone take more than 10 seconds to shoot a free throw, but if it does happen, that's a violation, so then that's you.
Under 2 minutes, then we can't.
Oh yeah, and so if under 2 minutes, you're doing the count. Once the shooter releases the ball, you put your hand up like this. If it misses and someone gets it, then you put your hand down to chop the clock back in. That's just that's under 2 minutes only, because the clock stops. But it's a good idea to get in the habit of that before the 2 minutes hits, because then you're just not forgetting about it at the end, and then it's important and you miss something. But if they make it, you just put your hand up, and if they make it, then lead takes over with their thing down there. You're in charge of this sideline. Anything that goes out, someone steps out, someone goes into the wall, that's on you. And I think that's it, yeah. That's pretty much it.
As far as I don't have any questions.
Yeah.
I know we said a lot of this in words pretty much, and it's just easier to get out here, on the court, see where it is. Main thing, just don't get stuck to any position out here. Make sure that you're moving, not too far, but just make sure if you need to move to get a better view, that you're not, leaning over too much. But I know you did some rotations over there. Did you guys do rotations when calling fouls? Because center is kind of the weird spot, the most movement, I guess, when a foul is called. Okay, so we'll do that a little bit. So we'll have a lead and trail on that side, and center could be over here.
Do you need a
And then
ball?
everybody go through it. What's that?
Do you want a ball?
No.
Okay.
So basically,
I don't know where to
if
go.
center has a foul call, they'll obviously go report it. All right, so he'll come report it. All right. Then we have say it's a non-shooting foul, so we're just mounting the balls over there. So trail, you're gonna get that rotation over there, and then lead also has to follow trail over there. Okay, so this is like one of the few times, and then you'll be sent on this. Okay. So in terms of rotations, just think about, who's doing who when they after they report a foul. Shooting foul, you're gonna go to the table and you're gonna come through every time. Alright, non-shooting fouls is when it gets a little dicey in that, that's when we have all three officials. And yeah, so it's when the center calls fouls, it's kind of the center hand. Okay. We don't need to keep on doing rotation, but stay on the rotation stuff. Okay. So yeah, we can come back in, but it's just. Something except yeah, I mean, in terms of rotations and just in general, just make sure that you're aware of your other officials, throughout the play. If you're sitting at center and you see the leads on your side, then you're obviously trailed. They might have rotated, so just back up and then you trail and your lead coming out. Or if you think if you're center and then you're running down the court and you see somebody behind you, then you're lead, then you have to keep on going. Okay, that happens a lot. Okay, that's the only time it usually happens is when you're center and you think you're going to be center again, but then you're actually lead and somebody has to push you down. Okay. Remember, you learn each other's names, especially in those pre-meetings, like before. So then, if you do have somebody that doesn't go down, you can yell their name rather than just, hey, you go to lead, because nobody's going to respond to that. Okay. So any questions on center or anything like that? No.
Yeah, and also sometimes you'll get stuck at center for like a really long time, which isn't necessarily bad, but just start looking for those small travels that happen that you might miss otherwise. It's good to make pay attention to those small details. But yeah, that's pretty much it.
Alright, cool.
Okay, we're at the position of trail. Your natural position is going to be somewhere in between me and Sydney right there. So somewhere in this range, you're the back person. Lead's going to be on the same side all the way down the baseline where Sydney's going. So your main things are going to be violations, because you got all the way to the corner and all the way from the free throw up and that way. So it's not too much actions happening unless it's a hand check or a push or something like that, or at the end of the game intentional fouls. But most of the time you're not going to be calling fouls that are getting smacked underneath the basket, because center's closer and leads in front. So you want to try to stay in your zone, because if I'm blowing the whistle all the way in that corner, players are always going to be like, you can't see it. I mean, you probably can't see it from here anyway. But if it's obvious, let them have a good second or two to call the whistle first. And then if you honestly believe that it's a foul, you can call it. But just try to stick in your zone. Don't be doing that all game long, because it just looks bad for your other officials. So, in other words, you guys will be holding up threes with the center over there. So if someone shoots a three, if Sydney's shooting a three from there, I'm looking at Sydney the whole way up and down to make sure she doesn't get undercutted, pushed, foul, any type of that nature. Because she has to land before the person can box her out. And then the other person over there at center would be holding up the three looking to see if it goes in or not. And the same thing, if the shooter's closer to the center, you will be watching the shot, because you have a better angle at the shot while they are watching the shooter to see if they get hit, fouled, whatever. So, and on fast breaks, if you're inbounding the ball down there, coming this way, stay behind the person dribbling the ball all the times. You want to box in all the players from with you and lead all the way down. So if you're already running up here and the person's still dribbling down there, you're not going to be much help. So just try to stay with the dribble. If you're dribbling, I'm walking with you, counting out 10 seconds, just to make sure you cross half. Another one of your responsibilities, you're the only one that should be having a whistle for backcourt. You're the only one to see. This is not backcourt. Their foot is not touching the line. But as soon as they put the foot down, then it's backcourt violation. Because they have to touch the line. If their foot is hovering it but not touching the floor, they're still good. And the same thing with out of bounds. So your main out of bounds line is this. not too many people from over there can tell if you're fully out of bounds or not over here. They should never have that whistle. You're the only one that should have that whistle unless lead is closer to the corner helping you out with down there. Free throws, you're gonna be sitting here and you're gonna be watching down. So anyone that's leaving the 3-point line before it hits the rim or the shooter, then you have that. And remember, you guys remember what you call, like, if offense goes in, automatically blow it dead because they don't deserve the shot. If defense goes in, just hold up your fist so everyone knows that it's a violation. If it goes in, just drop it and continue, because you're not going to punish this free throw shooter on offense. Oh, you made it, I'm going to make you shoot it again. But if they miss it, your hands up, you know it's a violation. Call it, let them reshoot it, all that stuff. And when people call fouls, like if Sydney's lead and she calls a foul, me and her are going to be switching most of the time. Odds are, because she's going to be doing the foul call and I'm going to be moving down here to take her spot as lead. You just take the ball from her and you administer the free throws like you normally would. Same thing with center, it's just you wouldn't be administering the free throws, you would just be counting 10 seconds for the free throw shooter to shoot. Yeah.
Basically took everything I said last time.
Yeah, no, I did. What's the point?
One big thing, I guess, like what we were telling the other group, is if you're in trail and like you see something over there, Twig mentioned it, but like if you see a foul over there, you can call it, but if you don't see center calling it, it'll probably look very poorly on you because they're like, you're here, the ball is in the corner, how do you see that? So a big thing is don't ball watch, because I know everyone's natural tendency when watching basketball is literally to watch the ball, because that's what you do when you watch TV, you watch basketball, you watch the ball. But when you're officiating, especially for new officials, I know for me it's really hard. Like after playing basketball, you're always watching the ball, but you need to make sure that you're watching the people that are in your zone. Because if you call a foul that's over there and then you got two people pushing right here, they're gonna be like, hey, like, are you not paying attention to this? Like, why did you call this? When you should have called this versus like that foul all the way over there. So just the big thing is to make sure that you like stay in your zone when calling stuff. You do have those gray areas that we talked about, but you know, make sure you stay in your zone calling stuff.
Yeah, because the big thing is off the ball screens. A lot of people, if Sydney's trying to get around, I'm just gonna be moving around her, trying to get in front so the person can shoot can come around. So just try to move or try to watch this way. Just keep your head on a swivel. If you have a good matchup right here and they're very aggressive, yes, take a better look there. But like if they're further closer to the center, you can look down here for a little bit, make sure everyone's clear and everything. And always keep an eye on lead, because if lead moves over there, you become center because it's a live ball rotation. You don't have to move right away, because if there's a matchup here and center goes over or lead goes over there, you're obviously not going to leave the bigger matchup. Just watch it. And with that, you're not confined to this area. If there's a matchup right here and they've been aggressive all game, pushing and fighting, you can move down here on the court to get a better view, to make sure they're being clean, they're being like decent basketball players with each other. So like, just make sure you don't have to stay in one area. Just keep moving, do whatever you can to like keep your head in the game, but also not ball watching at the same time.
Do you guys have any questions like regarding it or just in general? I don't know how much time we have.
So Jed and myself have the pregame and your tip-off responsibilities. So pregame, the first thing you want to do when you get here is you're going to want to talk to your partner and know your partners and know their names. It doesn't look professional if you're going through the game and go, hey you, or you start pointing, and you just need to know their names so that you're able to communicate with them more effectively. And additionally, you want to know your sport assistant scorekeeper's name as well. That way, if you need to get their attention, you're able to talk to them on a much more personal level. Let's see. As far as communication with your partners, a double whistle means that you guys need to both look at each other. So if you have a whistle and then you also have a whistle, you need to freeze before you do any kind of signal, any kind of violation, so to make sure you guys are whistling the same thing. Because in some cases you may have a violation and you may have a foul, and then at that point you would need to get together and you would need to talk it out and see which thing happened first and what are you going to call in the play. And then So after you get here, you get your stripes on, you talk with your supervisor. They should go over a pregame meeting with you to go over things, points of emphasis and things that you need to look out for. And then you're gonna get the captains together and have a captains meeting before the game. The captains is just gonna be one person. So don't let 2 or 3 people come over and be like they're co-captains. It's one person from each team. And when you get them together, the first thing you're going to want to ask them is you're going to want to ask them their team names and make sure you have the right scorecard, and then write down blue or white depending on what color each team is. And then the things that you want to remind them in the captain's meeting is absolutely no jewelry whatsoever. The only thing that we do allow is a medical alert bracelet if it's taped and it needs to be taped down to the skin. Yes.
You guys want to take off?
And the jewelry should be off before they come in here because we're going to be telling them that when they sign in. And so if a game starts and then you notice they have jewelry, you're going to have to get them out of the game and have them take the jewelry off. And then as the season goes on, if it continues to happen and you know you've told the person to take off their jewelry several times, you can issue a little technical to that person as well as the captain, because it's something that we really need to get right just because it's from a safety standpoint. And then additionally, we want to go over our sportsmanship ratings. You want to let them know from the get-go that you have to have an average of 3 or better throughout the season in order to participate in playoffs and in order to continue in playoffs. So let them know that if they want to talk to you about any of your calls, any of the rules, to come at you respectively, and that you'll answer their any questions that they may have. And then ask the captains if they have any questions, and you can explain any basic rules that they may not understand, how many participants they need, if it's co-ed, co-rec, you need to let them know how many of each gender they need, and then you are good to go. And then, so for jump ball, you got it?
Yeah, so if you stand close so you can fit on the mic. So all right, so jump ball, we got our 3 positions, referee, U1, and U2. All right, so our referee is obviously the one that is going to be tipping the ball. This is the beginning of the game, so we want to make sure we have a good tip, we have a good toss, because if you have a bad toss, it's a precedent for the game, that's going to be a rough game. So make sure that you practice, you're ready to roll, you feel confident. So our referee will start back at the half-court line. Our players are going to line up. We need to have 2 players in the middle, obviously opposite teams going direction opposite of their bench. So if we have, say, red and gold, gold is in this bench, their guy's going to be on their side going that way, and white, who's going to be in their bench right there, is going to be on this side going that way. So that's the first thing we do is we let them know where they're going, we blow our whistle, and then we do our tip. So our referee's responsible for the tip, getting the ball in the air, making sure it's a straight toss, a good toss. Our U1 is going to line up on the side of the scoreboard, and they're responsible for chopping the clock. So when the ball gets legally tipped, we're chopping in the clock to start the game. And our U2 is on the opposite side over here, watching the rest of our players, making sure that everyone's staying legal. We don't have any fouls, any pushes, anything like that.
So you do it when it's tipped, not when the first person gets it?
Sorry, yeah, when the first person's tipped, so it's legally touched after the tip. All right, so yeah, legally touched. So we got the tip, and then if Dylan's behind me, he grabs it, chopping the clock. All right, so we'll start off like this. If I can get a volunteer on this side and a volunteer on this side. So I'm the referee. I show up. I go blue. We'll call you white. Blow my whistle. And I get in the middle. If you want to get in the middle, you can see the dot. There's a dot on the floor. You want to make sure you line up with that. Line up. I usually wait a second, and then I go up. You want to make sure that your toss is at least as high as the tallest person can jump. So if I think David can jump to the roof of the gym, I need to make sure I toss it that high. But most likely no one's going to jump that high, so you want it about 10 feet. 10 feet is the rim, so we want it to keep about that height. We want to make sure it's straight, and we want to try to keep it with as little rotation as possible, which comes with practice. So I mean, you don't want to go out there and fling it up like that. So I try to go out there, get it settled, and then I go straight up and have it straight down. An easy way to practice if you get here early one night, or as you're waiting for the game to start, find a line in the gym, line up on it, throw it up, it comes down the line, you got a good toss. You want it, and then that's why I say our other referees are keeping an eye out for me coming up here and tossing it like that. If you see a toss like that, blow the whistle, retoss the ball. All right? Any questions about the tip, anything like that? Perfect.
Do we go over responsibilities for U1, U2?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then obviously our U1, as you chop in the clock, double check real quick to make sure the clock starts. Because if it doesn't, we want to make sure that we get that rolling as quickly as possible. If David tips it back to his team, who is white, who gets the ball next on the jump ball? Blue. Yep, there we go.
Do we have a possession arrow? It's gonna.
It'll be.
So it's on.
Yeah, it's up on the board. So it's up on the board. I'll keep an extra whistle or something in my pocket, a coin in my pocket to kind of help me determine which side it's going to go. So like if I have white over here, or if I have blue over here and white over here, I'll put it in my pocket that matches if I'm looking at the benches. So I keep a whistle, but you can keep a coin or something like that to help you just kind of make sure that the board stays in line with it for that. All right. Anything else to add?
That's it.
All right, you can cut the camera. One thing I'm going to add.